champions, dog. That's a title. That's a championship. And the party is started. It's been going on at my house for a while. We had needed to get some things done before we started the post-game show after Nebrasketball. But we are here now.
I just put my shirt back on, Jack. This is the first
shirt
time
back
on. In like an hour.
I had some friends and family over for a party to watch. It just cleared out. Everybody wanted to celebrate afterwards, but we are now here, ready to go. Nebraska basketball crown champions, first ever crown champions. If you're gonna minimize it, suck it. Suck it. And so we didn't plan on doing a show tonight, but after they won, we felt like we had to. I don't know that I have anything like super useful to say tonight. I don't really know why we're here, but we're just going to celebrate winning something, right? And it's okay to do that. It's okay to do that. It doesn't mean that we've settled. It doesn't mean that we've thrown our high standards out the door. It doesn't mean that we're great with how the season ended. It means that, hell, we are going to celebrate a small but fun victory once tonight, and we are glad you are all here joining us. We'll interact with our Discord chatters. If you have not yet subscribed to the page you are watching this on, Husker Max or I-80 Club, please do that. That's how you can really help us the most out of anything. Just subscribe. That way you find out when we're live. Or if you really want to get into stuff, make sure and join us at patreon.com/I-80 Club and be a subscriber to the I-80 Club and be a part of the chat. I did just submit, Caleb, for those who are wondering, as Jordan on our Discord chat puts our little Nebrasketball mascot with the crown on. I did just submit him to our merch shop to get the shirts and the hats and the gear going. We should have that by tomorrow, I believe. It's processing as we speak right now, but Nebrasketball crown gear should be coming soon.
Okay, and if people don't know what that looks like, here, I got you.
Go ahead, share that. All right.
You have to approve it for me to go. There we go.
There we go. Although it's got a black background, so it's got actual legs that you can't.
Yeah, there are legs. It's not just floating. It's not just floating, but it's a beautiful crown. It was put together well. Jack, I like your.
Oh, we got it up at the top. We got it. I mean,
it's sitting up there too. Yeah,
that's probably an easier way to see it, but
I like that your crown actually fits your head. I'm going to ditch mine. This is from Disney on Ice and fits my daughter's head.
Okay, is there just two? Oh, there's just three at the front. No,
yeah, well, and then there's ears. We took there were Mickey ears back here too. I took those off. I didn't want us to get in trouble with the Disney Corporation.
Mine's got jewels. You can see here. This one's very nice.
One for every win this week.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. I don't know. There's
one for every win west of the Rocky Mountains, because Nebraska went 9-0 west of the Rockies this year.
People forget that. Champions of the West. Michigan says they're the champions of the West in their fight song, but Nebraska's the champions of the West.
Well, yeah, here's the thing, is that Oregon wanted to be that team out west. Nobody was that team out west like Nebraska basketball, where you sweep the Pacific Northwest road trip, you win the first ever college basketball crown, and you win what is perhaps the last ever Diamond Head Classic in Hawaii. That's 9-0.
That's true. That's true. Nebraska, solid two championships, and then add, of course, a crown to the NIT championship. And it's a weird resume of championships. Plenty of emeritus classics over the years too. Back in the day at Devaney, but nonetheless, listen. Here's my thing about this whole thing. It'll be a laughing stock for some. It will be a, hey, forget, are you forgetting how the season ended for others? None of that's it is not settling for this fan base to enjoy this. It is not some situation where they've dismissed or papered over everything that went wrong this year. it is a fan base that has gotten almost zero joy over the years with this program. And for me, it's been over 40 years. And so, damn it, if I spend one night having fun after a win, it does not negate, the reality of what happened at the end of this year. And to suggest that is just, I mean, come on. It's really condescending to this fan base, to be honest. I mean,
it's fun. Today was fun. This whole week was fun. Like when we did the After Nebrasketball conditionally after the first round game, and we said, okay, if Nebraska beats Arizona State, we'll do an After Nebrasketball, and we did. And we even said at the time, we're like, as a fan, don't take this too seriously, because you know that the NCAA tournament is still going on, and they're going to crown a national champion tomorrow. But if you accept what this is, and it's a chance to watch these guys play, and for some of the players, it's a chance to see, can you go do something with another opportunity ahead of next year, like a Cale Jacobson, like what happens with Connor Esijan, who scored 21 points today, like a Bear K. Like when you can see some of these guys and go, okay, are there glimpses of there's something happening here at the end of the year? And you get one more chance to watch Bryce and Juwan. Like, just enjoy the week for what it is. And I think a lot of people did that. There are a few poo-pooers out there, but I think a lot of people enjoyed what this week was. Obviously, there were Husker fans that made the trip to Las Vegas. Like that. Think about that. There was a fun trip to be had out of this. If we're going to get excited about Pinstripe Bowl wins, we can get excited about running the table in the college basketball crown for a week and having the fun with it without it having to be, okay, what did that mean for the end of the season? I don't care. Right now, it was fun on Monday, and it was fun on Wednesday, and it was fun yesterday, and it's fun right now.
Let's be fully honest about this, right? Like, of course, the preference would have been to be in the NCAA tournament, right? And last year Nebraska went to the NCAA tournament. They lost. It was bitter when they lost. It was sad. This is more fun, right? I mean, like this was more fun, and I'm not saying that means that's all I want for next year. You can say this was fun, and honestly, Kaleb, if anybody says they aren't a little jealous, if they're not Houston or Florida, they're lying.
Right.
You're a little like you're glad you ended up in the tournament, but you're a little jealous that you don't get to have a party right at the end of the year.
Yeah,
and we do.
Well,
right?
Well,
like we do. It's like you're jealous. You can say it all. You can say it till you're blue in the face. But you're a little jealous. It's true. It's okay. It's true though.
It's fun to lose the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. It's also fun to cut nets down and wear a crown and get a bedazzled basketball and spend a week in Vegas. Although our buddy Pat Norris was struggle busting after like day 3, Jack. Like this was a long week for some of those guys.
Well, I mean, like I don't feel bad for him. I wanted to be there, so I don't know what was going on with him. See the picture of Dylan Raiola with Pat in the background?
Yes, look at some get you somebody who looks at you the way Pat Norris looks at Dylan Raiola wearing the crown on the throne.
But if you think like you're losing ass in the first or second round of the NCAA tournament is better than Jeffrey Grace pocketing $20,000 after this weekend and the fun of that, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Right. I don't know what to tell you. It's a better you had a better season, you had a better accomplishment after it's all over, but I don't think you had more fun. Well, and it's okay if you're jealous.
Like, and look at the celebration for the guys after. Like how much joy those guys had. Juwan and Bryce and everyone celebrating that Fred Hoiberg, the first ever person to wear that crown after winning the tournament is Cale Jacobson.
Let's go. Fred put it on his head.
Team absolutely loved him up for it. That's the stuff that you got out of this week. And then that's the thing that I feel like the lasting impression of this is there was fun that was had. Winning is fun. Seeing this team get to play a little bit more. Juwan Gary being named King of the Crown. Bryce Williams passing James Palmer Jr. for the single season scoring record. Like, there are things that happened because of this week that were fun. Yeah, you're losing some people. The portal is going on. You're going to have to figure out what the roster even looks like next year. But this week was fun. It was a fun way to go into the offseason.
Yeah, would I trade what we just went through for a loss in the first, making the NCAA tournament, losing the first round? Now? No, I wouldn't.
Right.
Does it mean that I want this instead of the NCAA tournament next year? Also, no. But
here's your by the way, I just got this from Seamus, the all tournament team.
It's just Nebraska starting lineup, right?
Well, Juwan and Bryce are the two that made it on the all tournament team.
Okay.
But there you go. You've got guys who now you get to add another thing on there to where this is the all tournament team. You get guys who were the all tournament team at the Diamond Head Classic. It's fun stuff. It was fun.
Fun's the word.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, then you know what wasn't fun? That trailing by 14 and being like, I don't know if Nebraska will ever make a basket.
What a weird
point. The rest
honestly, what a weird tournament in general, just because the amount of straight, like the first half against Arizona State, I thought Nebraska was going to lose that game by 30 because it looked like they weren't even ready to play, and then absolutely destroyed them in the second half. It was an odd tournament, but you know what? Like, okay. Can we have an actual serious analysis of this tournament, Caleb? Like, what is it? What was it about Nebraska? Like, was this a different team than you saw in the regular season? I guess is my question for you.
I mean, in parts, because Juwan, I don't know what he ultimately finished shooting today, but obviously he scored well to get to 20 points. I remember that, but Juwan Gary shot over 50% like for the tournament, and 8 for 15. So he shot over 50% for the entire tournament, 4 games in a row. Went 1 for 3 on threes today, but he was 4 for 4 yesterday. Like there's a part of it that your two guys who had to be on for Nebraska to have success throughout the season, they were on for 4 games. Bryce and Juwan. So you had that. You had Connor Esijan like start to hit things, not just does he hit 2 threes and then hit nothing else, or does he get a couple of runners? Like, no, he was pulling up mid-range. Like Connor Esijan started to become more of a consistent scorer for a lot of things. And all of this is on this same note that the level of competition you were playing, it wasn't NIT bad, but there were also some teams you were facing that were a little bit shorthanded.
Right. For sure. 100%. Yeah.
So Nebraska took advantage of the moment in a way that obviously you saw the other teams didn't. That's why Nebraska gets to wear the crown and cut down the nets. But overall, I think what you got was you had Nebraska as a team come out with energy for 4 games in a way that nobody else was able to match for 40 minutes. And you had Bryce and Juwan be on for 4 games in a row, where there were times during the season, if one of them wasn't on, the team struggled.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. And Juwan, man, I was glad at the end Juwan got the MVP, got to wear the crown, just not because, and Bryce obviously ended up setting the record, but man, that dude, he wanted it, man. He really wanted this whole thing. And it was great. He's been here a year longer than Bryce has, and I'm not trying to pick one over the other, because Bryce obviously is, had a great career here. But Juwan has had this thing where there have been times in his career where he was the best player on the team, and then there were times where he was hardly an asset on the team. And to have him end where he was the one efforting this team. I mean, he was dog mode the whole time, this whole tournament, which is where he's been when he's been the best player on the team. Man, and he cares, there is I will have a special place in my heart, right? He wasn't the one to break the drought of an NCAA tournament, non-wins, but there will still be a special place in my heart for him going forward, right? Just because of who he was, and the whole thing. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm getting in my feels here with this whole thing, and I've been drinking a little bit. So,
well, you're right, because think about prior to Las Vegas, the last time we saw this team play, and just how disappointing it was. You saw Bryce Williams, like that was a game where just Bryce wasn't on. He was offer than off, is what it was against Iowa. And Juwan Gary was on that night, and he has the foul out and the emotions, and then now Nebraska and Creighton took 3 really good guys from Iowa in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
But you have if Nebraska didn't play in this, your final visual of this team is that it is Bryce Williams didn't quite get there at the end after being the guy and first team All Big Ten, and Juwan left it all out there, and you have your bigs and you're going into the offseason and holy crap, what the hell just happened? But now the lasting visual is, yeah, the end of the regular season sucked, but look how much joy this team had.
And does any of that matter for the future or what went wrong this year? Probably not, Caleb. But no. Damn it, this fan base hasn't ever got to feel good about effing anything, almost ever. And so that matters. It matters that the season ended with people smiling and crying tears of joy instead of Casey Tominaga on the screen at the end of the NCAA tournament that we couldn't even look at. It was so painful.
And a video of Juwan Gary, not even from the tournament game, in the one shining moment.
Yes, right. Or Juwan walking off Pinnacle Bank Arena and the Iowa players, like just Ken Pavelka just texted me. I have no idea what's going on. I have to look at that here in a second. But
is Ken jumping on after Nebrasketball?
Maybe he's watching us. Maybe he's I don't know. I'll have to look at what he's texting me. But man, like, just there's that. You can reduce this whole thing to it being what another radio guy sent me on Twitter. He called it the Temu of basketball tournaments. You know, whatever. You can do all of that. You can talk about how winning this takes away from, I guess, the attention you need to have on the problems that happened at the end of this year, which that's not happening with anybody. That's a freaking straw man. Okay. You're dunking on a straw man if you think that. And I'm talking about Mitch's tweet. Like it's just wrongheaded. I don't know. I mean, I like whatever, but I'll tell you what, like, it matters that this fan base gets to be happy. It does. Like, we've gotten the shit beaten out of us. I've for 40 years for me, and you know, maybe more than that, maybe less than that for some of you, but the chance to just to be happy, to enjoy, to celebrate appropriately, right, and not realize it is what it is. Like, that's significant. It's significant. Yeah. So,
well, and you heard going into it, Fred had talked about how Bryce and their seniors and their leadership guys had said, no, we're going to go play in this. And I think there is something to be said about the culture of the team, because that had questions. Like, there were times during the season, think about that 6-game losing streak, where we were questioning we being kind of just in general trying to figure out what's going on with the team. What is wrong? Is it a culture thing? Do some of the guys hate each other? And maybe there's some of that. There's egos. Like, you're playing basketball. You're playing high power basketball. And so there's the question of that on, do you know you're sharing your screen?
Yeah. I just want to share
I love that.
That's what Ken sent me. That. Hopefully nobody in any of these other listening. All right. Yeah, I think we're good on the rest of these.
Yeah.
Yep. I just want to make sure whatever. Yeah, that's what Ken Pavelka just texted me.
Oh, that is awesome.
So how about for him? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you talk about, okay, so for the team, obviously there's a culture in place that they want to come back and play. And you saw the way they played over the course of this week in Las Vegas. At a time they are on national television, at a time that the transfer portal is open, other guys are getting to see this team play and see and go, okay, Bryce and Juwan are gone. Maybe I can fill that role.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can do that. There are high school guys watching this, potential recruits for Nebraska. So I don't think that part can be discounted. There was a picture I saw, Seamus with the Nebraska communications. He was on the throne. Like the people who've been around the program, and especially Kent and Jake, like those guys that are there every night and living this program and just wanting to feel good. You know, you've listened to the broadcast and you've heard Kent Pavelka for so long, and Jake talking about how he's going to leave the broadcast table and go shut someone up. Like those guys care deeply, and so like for there to be a fun week around this program and it to end in a fun way, that can't be discounted going into the offseason.
That's a great point, Caleb. This matters not because it rectifies what went wrong this year or it means next year is a guaranteed success. Is it puts the one of the assets that this program has is its fans, right? Is the fact that its fans keep coming out, that for better or worse, man, I'll tell you what, we are loyal. We keep coming in there. You show the top 20 attendances in college basketball. We're in there, despite the fact we got very little to show for it. And if nothing else, man, this rejuvenates a little bit, but it rejuvenates a little bit of that strength this program has, which is it's a good place to play a home game. It's a fan base that will live and die with you, even though there's been very little joy given back to them. And will that be the difference between, having success and not? I don't know. Maybe not. But like, that's one of the things. It like giving us something matters.
Yes,
it does. It does, because it's a strength of the program. And I think you set that up really well. I think that's true. And I think next year you feel, like I said, it doesn't really make it a whole lot more likely or less likely that you go into the season with, and end up having success, but you go in just a little bit different now, right? Than you did if that Iowa game was the last game of the year.
Right. Yeah.
It's
imagine if you were only losing Bryce and Juwan, and I know there are other pieces that came in, like knowing that it was going to be 1 year. I get that. But you would look at next year and go, okay, there's so much of this roster returning. What did Vegas mean for that? To look at the way the season ended and then get to the college basketball crown and know that you're losing at least 7 guys. Those guys that walked on senior night. You already knew, no matter what happened here, it's not necessarily a launching point, or not necessarily like if they would have lost against Arizona State, it wasn't, here's a sour note going into next year. You already weren't having that because you're replacing most of your roster going into next season, where potentially tomorrow we learn about the House settlement and rev share and roster limits and how all of that gets implemented like this. It's going to be a new world next year anyway, on top of Uggie and Price coming in and whoever else, Quentin Rhimes from high school, and then whoever else comes in. Like, it's already
Jamarcus Lawrence, maybe
potentially J-Law. Like, it's going to look like a different team next year. But the biggest part of all of this, I alluded to it, and you kind of nailed it on the head, is that this was for the fans. Yeah, there's the $300,000.
That's what this was for. Yeah,
but ultimately, the fans clearly had a fun week. They were the fan base in Vegas. No one else was down there.
Yeah, exactly.
The way Nebraska fans were. So shout out to everyone. And I know a lot of the guys who do that stuff with like the alumni groups, and they get the trips and they go down and they're like, the fan base is at this bar, whatever that is. And you see it on like the volleyball Final Four, and you see it at bowl games where like New York this last year. You saw it in Memphis at the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
Getting this fan base together for a
Hell yeah.
postseason event is fun, and it was successful all week, and fans got to enjoy the friggin' hell out of it, man.
We deserved this, and it's not, nope, it's not a Sweet 16, right? It's not coming home and celebrating that, but we got a little something finally for this fan base. We didn't get much this year. You're exactly right. That's who this is for. It's for the fan base who's going to have a little bit more of a rejuvenated state going into this offseason and going into the next year too. And it's one of the strengths, frankly, of the program. It really is. It really is. So,
and I think there's something from this too, and you saw it throughout the season anyway, but the development of guys in multiple years in the program with Fred Hoiberg. The two at the top right there are Bryce Williams and Juwan Gary this year. You saw multiple years of development from Keisei Tominaga. You saw multiple years of development from Derek Walker. He redshirted a year, but you saw multiple years in the program from Delano Banton, who's playing in the NBA. So, like, to look at the guys that spent multiple years here, and that's what you're trying to get out of transfers and bringing in high school guys. And the fact that some of those guys like Connor and Bearkay, even like Gavin Griffiths, who didn't play, in Vegas, but the guys who transferred in with multiple years of eligibility remaining, Price Sanford in this transfer portal season. What happens in year one can be good, but it's what happens in year 2 and 3. You're really seeing guys make a jump under Fred Hoiberg.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And boy, this does not negate any of our joint critiques of the transfer class last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was filled with misses, right, Caleb?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was filled with misses and guys who ended up doing things they weren't recruited to do or just weren't there. I mean, nobody thinks this papers over eliminates the the issues with the transfer portal, the way the season went, the lack of fire when it was needed at the end of the year, the embarrassment of not making the Big Ten tournament. Let's just get that straight. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong as fans, because if you're watching this, you're a fan. If you think this papers over that or erases the problem, let me know. Tell me I'm wrong. But I'm going to guess not a one of you think that, right? Not a one of you think that. You're probably thinking to yourself, man, at least I'm glad to at least have some positive emotion at the end of the year. I don't know what this means, right? I don't know what it means. But damn, it feels good to have a little bit of fun, because we haven't been able to get, there's no fan base that hasn't been able to get it like we have. So
and leaning into the fun, like seeing, because obviously we knew, and the folks on the Discord, and again, if you have not subscribed to the Patreon and the Discord for Jack and Josh, so much fun stuff is on there, not just us doing this or some of the free stuff, but some of the stuff behind paywall is really fun to interact with too, even for folks like me. So encourage you guys to do that. But like looking at what was fun for this team this week, and for a lot of us leaning into the fun of the Crown, recognizing what it is, but leaning into it and what is fun. And it's Vegas, and you're listening to Lady Gaga's Poker Face on all of the rejoins, and they're just playing like the same 8 songs. I get it. But like Mike Schaefer, 24/7, tweeted out that, and I agree with this, and I don't know how much of it's tongue in cheek, but I absolutely agree with this. Nebraska should lean into it when you get to like the first home game next year or some point in the early portion of the non-conference, and do a replica Crown giveaway for fans. Like make it a Crown night. Like lean into it for something, because obviously not everyone was able to get down there to Vegas, but you can have fun with it here for the Crowns or for the fans, and do it early enough in the year that it's not like, oh, well, you guys are still living off of that week in Vegas going through this season. Like, do it one of the first games, have fun with it. And then like at that point, you've recognized it's in the past, but it is a trophy. That is a thing that they get to have in the trophy case.
Maxi Price's Crown and Coke's free.
Oh man.
Or
So
Crown and Pepsi's. Crown and Pepsi's free.
Ladies' night had the sangrias.
Yeah, Crown and Pepsi, Crown and Diet Mountain Dew's free. You know, whatever it is. But yeah. Jordan says, I would say this result actually pisses me off more about how the regular season ended. Yeah, I mean, all that to, which is fine. All that to say, let's get this like ridiculous take out of here that this fan base has now dismissed or forgotten or excused the failures of this year. You know what? Let me go on a rant, Caleb.
Oh, you got it.
I am so tired of, and some of it's trash talk from fan bases of other teams, but a lot of it is from media members who are, neutral, fine media members, but they have taken it upon themselves to, I would call it fail-splain to Nebraska basketball fans the situation that they've put it upon themselves to explain to Nebraska basketball fans that they haven't accepted or understood or been critical enough of their own failure, right? And they should handle it in a different way. And this isn't a new thing whatsoever. It happened this week, but it's happened before. It's happened for years. And I will say this, if you're watching this again, you're a fan. Like we all know, we know better than anyone from the outside. You know why? Because we've lived it. We've cared about it. We've been through the entire process, and we want it more badly than anyone who is a neutral observer does overall. So please stop telling us, right, that we are not dealing with failure in the way that you want us to. And that includes minimizing what happened this weekend in Las Vegas and this week in Las Vegas. So I'm so tired. I am so exhausted of that. Like nobody knows the depths of the failure better than all of us, right? Nobody wants it. Nobody excuses it. None of us are excusing it, right? Quit explaining it to us. We got it. And we are sick of outsiders coming in and trying to tell us that we don't know, we don't understand it. We don't know how to handle it. We're not reacting in the right way. I'm done. Like I've been done with that for years. But there's a few, I guess it's an easy way for a media member to come across as sort of hard-nosed when they maybe don't have a lot of opportunities to that otherwise.
Look, I'm not just pumping sunshine because
right. Look at me. I'm a tough Nebraska basketball fans. Exactly.
Like there's so many times that basketball can be the like men's basketball can be the low-hanging fruit of look how tough I can be on a Husker program.
Yep.
Because the success historically isn't there, or Nebraska loses to Texas A&M and Memphis. Well, did you guys know Nebraska men's basketball has never won an NCAA tournament team? Yeah, nobody knows more than we do. Nobody knows more than those of us covering it every day or talking about it.
You don't get it. You don't get it, and you don't tell me you get it because you don't fucking get it. Okay, you don't. Yeah. You don't get it, right? And I get it better than you do. And I don't mean I mean all of us, 135 people who are watching this, we get it better than you do. We are pained by it. We want it to change more than you do. So don't tell us how to handle it. I'm sick of it. I'm so tired of it.
Well, and that's the part where, and this goes back almost 30 minutes to when we started this. If you understood what this week was and you accepted it and you said, this is just going to be, let it, like it's Vegas. You're letting it ride, whatever happens. And it's going to be fun. And you just embrace what it is. It was a fun week. You embraced the fun. And it doesn't, Like, no, it doesn't make the last 2 weeks of the regular season any less sucky. Those sucked in the moment, and they're going to suck to think back to. But where we are right now for the last 7 days, this was fun. And it was fun to see the fan base get excited about something in person and online. And it was fun to see the joy on the team and for everyone around the team, from the equipment managers, from the other student athletes on campus, like Dylan Raiola being there, from seeing the athletic director and the president down there, and for Kent and Jake, like seeing all of that, seeing Fred Hoiberg cut down a net and then get doused with water in the locker room. It was fun. I enjoyed the hell out of this week, and I'm very happy that they decided to play in this, then just said, we're going to the offseason. We're getting to the transfer portal as soon as it's open, and we're not going to mess around with being in Vegas potentially for a week. No, I'm glad they did this. It was fun for me, and I, for one, am thankful for them for doing it.
And quit freaking blaming us for being the apparent reason why things aren't getting better. Because we have done – the Nebraska basketball fan base should get they should get a gold medal.
Yes.
All of us. For decades, we should get a gold medal because there's nothing like it. It doesn't exist. It literally doesn't exist in the rest of sports.
Husker Hoops Central shared it on Twitter, and I just pulled up the foxsports.com website. Have you looked at it?
No.
All right, I'm going to share screen because I love this, and I love that. Fox is like the big sponsor, that's why it was on. But they went ahead, and it's the banner at the top.
Let's go.
Nebraska is the champions. It's a banner at the top. It's one of the featured stories next to a literal Final Four game.
I love it.
Look, this is great.
I love it. They're owning it. I love it. Look at the season right there, right in the middle, right next to Paige. Nice.
Look how good
and
this
Gino.
is.
Connor between Paige and Gino in the middle. I love it. I love it.
Connor Seaton, at one point this year, your picture is going to be one of the featured stories near Paige Beckers, near Gino Oriema, near Don Staley, all of it right there on the front of Fox. Like just enjoy it for what it is. Embrace it.
Yep. I mean, it does not hurt, and let's end the fiction that it placates everyone, and everyone's like, well, it's fine now. It's fine now. Nobody thinks that shit. Nobody wants to go to the Crown next year. Stop. It's a straw man. It is a like you said, Caleb, it's a way to look tough, right? A way to have strong, hard takes because you can do that with Nebraska basketball, but you can't do it with Nebraska football.
I want Nebraska basketball to never play in the Crown again. Like that, I think we all would agree with that. If it's one thing or the other, we would want Nebraska to never play in the Crown again because we want Nebraska playing in the NCAA tournament every year. Like no one's going out of their way to say that's not the case. Okay, yeah. We get that, but in the moment right now, what it was fun because this is what the situation was.
All right. So I got all that off my chest. I think I'm good on that. Let's talk about next year real quick. Can we do that?
Yeah. Because since we had our last after Nebrasketball, they won 3 more games and actually got transfer portal commitments. One on Friday with Price Sandfort, 6'6" wing, kind of shooting guard more from Iowa. Scored really well against.
He's like 6'7" though now.
Is he 6'7" now? Yeah, he might be
6'7".
And then the Lithuanian from
Central Michigan, 6'11".
Big dude, shot like 56% field goals, 30% from 3. Lives at the free throw line, gets there, draws fouls quite a bit. So you got your size coming in as Andrew Morgan and Braxton Mia are on the way out. So like that's where you're at with the additions that we know of right now. And since nobody has hit the portal, you're also looking at Bear K. You're looking at Rink, like a healthy Rink Mast. So you still have that coming back next year. And
which is interesting with a 6'11" scorer.
Yeah,
right?
What's the rotation going to look like there?
Yeah, that's fascinating how the new guy, Joe something, it's like Juravicious, but it's not Juravicious.
It's not Juravicious. I wanted to say Juravicious every time, and I was like, look what is happening.
Remember when nobody could pronounce Bear K's name? Now it's all normal. That'll happen with this guy.
Gus still couldn't say Buchtengel. Buchtengel.
Yeah, but like, do you play Rank and this guy? Do you start them both? Are they on the floor at the same time? I
don't. Well, and
that's fascinating.
As we just talked about, what it's looked like developed for multiple years. Uggy, I believe I saw Kent say for the nickname, but I also saw Robin say Oogie. So I'm gonna have to see like what we call him, but
whatever.
But UJ, for just the initials, like he only has 1 year of eligibility left. So he'll only be 1 year in Lincoln. So I don't know, with the 1 year between Bear K, Rink, and UJ, what is that rotation going to look like at the big spots? It's going to be really intriguing to see what happens there.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, I don't know if they'll both go the same. I mean, you look at the like I'm not convinced, right, that that Bear K is sticking around. We'll see. I think there's a chance he's not, but I don't feel super confident either direction in that whole thing, but we'll see. And then you look at the rest of the, like, who's like, what do you think the starting lineup is next year, right? Because then if you got Price, who's 6'7" as well, how does he fit in too?
Well, and it's so tough because you have at least 5 other guys you're going to bring in without anyone leaving, So like you have, without Bear K or without, I don't know where Gavin Griffith's head is right now. If he was just feeling, okay, this didn't go the way I wanted, I want to go. So like, I don't know how any of this is going to go. I don't know if Cale Jacobson wants to go play somewhere else where he's going to get minutes. I don't know any of that for these guys. So you already have, without any departures, 5 more guys you have to replace to come in next year. And you have 15 roster spots. Scholarship or not, doesn't matter. You've got 15 spots. So to look at what the starting lineup is going to be is so tough, not knowing what a third of the roster is going to be. Because it's not like you're replacing back end of the rotation guys.
Yeah.
Like other than Jeffrey Grace III, which I don't like, the expectation is not that he's back as a player next year. There hasn't been anything official, but if you read anything, like and even if he was back, I wouldn't expect him to be a contributor. So like you're not other than that, like everyone played. Like Aaron Eulis even played.
He's got a year left, doesn't he? Too technically,
does he? Yeah, maybe. I don't know where all of the
I'm
last year or not with the betting stuff, but yeah, like you have 5 guys that are still potentially going to be added to Lincoln, and hopefully there's some guards in there. Yeah, like you look like you're set on bigs, but hopefully it's guards, and you don't know necessarily, like, is it 100% you're going to get Lawrence? And then, like, who else? Like, that's so much of a question still.
Is there a point guard? Is Lawrence or Hoiberg, or who's going to be that point guard? It's like, who you feel confident is going to be a contributor next year? It's Mast. It's the 2 transfers. It's probably a season, right? It's Hoiberg, Sam. And that's right. I don't know. I still don't feel super confident Bear K is going to be back. We'll see.
Well, your roster today, like your roster right now, next year, because, and this would be a question that for some of the people that know, like Frager and Janowski better, guys that redshirted this year, like where are they going to slot into the current crop that is returning or has been added in the portal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they're high on both those guys, to be honest.
I think they are too.
And we'll see what kind of a player that they are, but it's weird. It feels like you got your bigs, right?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you got your shooters, but you need your point guards and your scorers still, right?
Yeah.
Your wing scorers.
Well, and then I feel like you think you've got that with Janowski, but you haven't seen it in a game with Frager and Janowski. You haven't seen the way they play in a game. So you think you've got 3-point shooting with Connor Esigian and Price Sanford.
I mean, yeah, frankly, you've got 40% shooter in Sanford. You got a 40% shooter in Esigian. You've got, if Lawrence comes, you got a 40% 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
Right?
Rink Mass showed that he
I don't know what he ended up, but yeah.
Like I don't think it was 40%, but like we saw what he did against Ohio State.
Well, even this Central Michigan guy is 33%.
30 from deep.
30? Okay.
Yeah. 30% is when he shot this last year from deep, but he was high 50% on field goals, So there's a guy who's going to give you that presence and grab offensive rebounds. Look at how well Nebraska rebounded in this tournament and how big of a deal that ended up being, that Nebraska was able to be the aggressor so often. Even like today, when it seemed like, other than Juwan Gary bleeding because he got elbowed in the top of the head, the rest of the game was no blood, no foul for long stretches.
Holy cow. Which, by the way, you're right. By the way, though, how nice was that to watch? To be honest, in terms of watchability, swallowing their whistles most of this tournament. I thought that was the most enjoyable basketball I've watched in a long time because they didn't call so damn many fouls. How many charges did you see this entire week?
Oh,
almost none.
Like there were a lot, and I think some of that was part of it, like embracing what it was, and for fans, like that's an adjustment for what we watch from like the Big Ten, where the fouls get called and the way things are. So once you got a game or 2 games in, and everyone understood kind of what was happening. Right. That's why today it was like, okay, yeah, no blood, no foul. But that's how most of the week was for these games. It was very,
for sure. It
was
was
very
consistent.
There's going to be a ton of contact.
Yep. It was like these guys are ready to get to the casino, What did Kaleb? Let me ask you this. What do you think Nebraska did well in this week of games that maybe they didn't when things didn't go well during the course of this year, or who did that, or what was the difference that worked this week that didn't always work during the course of the regular season?
Maybe it was the 2 weeks off, but like the team looked like there was a consistent energy. Even when the shots were missing, say today, and there's the 20 whatever to 2 run, or Nebraska goes almost 10 minutes of game time without making a shot, gets down 14 early in the second half. Even during like that portion of it, you didn't really worry about where the energy was. Like I was concerned that Nebraska wasn't ever going to score again, but they were going to keep getting into good spots and keep getting good shots up. But there were long stretches like the last couple of weeks of the season, even like during the winning streak. You think about the times where Nebraska got down that you were like, man, is the energy there? And you had the 6-game losing streak. And in some of that, like you're in the middle of the season, you're playing 2 games a week, 3 games a week, depending on what's going on. That's tough. And I know they played 4 games in 7 days, but they had multiple weeks off. Like they hadn't played in a while. Mm-hmm. So I think there was a freshness about Nebraska that they were able to take that. And you saw the way guys shot. You saw the way, especially like Juwan Gary shot the ball, the way Bryce Williams scored. Bryce had, what was it, like 6 assists yesterday? Mm-hmm. He had a few today too. Sam Hoiberg had 7 assists.
Hoiberg had I'm just looking at the box score now for the first time. Hoiberg had 7 assists. Wow.
Well, and look at the team assists that Nebraska ended up with.
20
assists.
Man, we talked a bit about this in Nebrasketball at the beginning of the year. Like, yeah, there were games where they had almost none.
I think overall there was just a freshness about the team because of that layoff. And you worry about, are you rested or are you rusty? And Nebraska showed showed that they were a little bit rusty at points in that Arizona State game, but they were overall rested because they were able to fight back. And then you fight back against Georgetown, and you fight back against all the way through this week, Boise and in Central Florida. So, like, I don't think there was anything like schematic difference. Like, Fred Hoiberg didn't have them playing a whole lot differently. The defense wasn't running around differently. You obviously saw some different rotations. That's what happens when you have Cale Jacobson starting and no Raleigh Wooster. And depending on the game, where are your minutes for Berke and Mia and Morgan? Also, hell of a couple of possessions for Andrew Morgan with those dunks. That was electric and fun to watch. But like, I think the team was just fresh in a way that you can't get during the season. And I don't know if if Fred and everyone for like the training staff, if they're looking, okay, how can we get guys fresher during the season?
Right.
Like, is there something else they could have done? Because those are the people that need to be especially thinking about, okay, how did the season end? What can you take from Vegas to put back to that? It's, for me, was there a way? Was it something with practice? Did you need to have guys do 30 minutes less on something here? I don't know. Those guys are in there with the sports science. But I think there's got to be a way, if you are taking anything from this and trying to extrapolate it out to the end of the season and saying, could you have gotten one more game? I think the team was stressing in a way that just didn't look as energized in the way they looked this week.
Yeah. And there's no doubt the teams we're realistic about what happened. The teams they played throughout the entirety. I think Boise State's a good team, to be honest, Caleb.
Yeah,
I think that by far, what they did at Boise was the most impressive thing by far.
Boise should have been in the tournament. Like, they had a legitimate gripe to be in the tournament.
But Arizona State was shorthanded. Georgetown was shorthanded. UCF was shorthanded, to be honest. Yeah. And that factors into everything. But Boise, the way they played against Boise after the first 10 minutes of that game was really impressive. I thought Essien was a more dynamic scorer this week. I thought he reminded me in a weird way more of Keisei Tominaga during the course of this week, because he was scoring not only with the long 3-pointers from near half court, but he was getting himself open. He was cutting. To me, he was a different player during the course of this week. After that first half of the Arizona State game, I thought that was significant. I thought that was huge, and I thought Juwan, frankly, not only Juwan, but especially Juwan, Nebraska hit their threes. That was the other difference. Even tonight, like they were 40% tonight. Last night, they were, I think, near 50%. They were really good last night.
Yeah.
And most they hit threes. That was huge. And Bryce didn't have a great night tonight, but most of the rest of the tournament, Caleb, like he drove quite a bit, which we talked about a ton. Like, he was a little bit more dynamic in the way that he scored throughout the course of the year. It was just a few little things, to be honest.
You brought up Connor, and he goes 4 for 8 from 3 today. And that puts him at 78 made threes for the year. And he passes what Keisei made last year.
Wow.
So Keisei last year went 76 for 202. And Connor goes 78 for 207.
That's crazy. But tonight, I just thought tonight, especially, he played more like Keisei did last year.
And it's not the 3
I don't know how many twos he had tonight, but he had several.
Yes, it's not the 3-point shooting, because that's the big part in all of this is, for him, he has to make threes. That's your job. You got to make threes. But where he's at in being a scorer, early on, you didn't see that from him and it's not necessarily what he is, but is being the Keisei replacement. You weren't seeing getting to the rim. You weren't seeing pulling up for 10 to 12 footers. But today, he took 8 shots inside the 3-point line. And he made 4 of those. So, like, that's where he gets to 21 points, shot 50% from the floor, 50% from 3. That's the part that had been missing for long stretches this season, when you were looking for that. It's not Bryce. It's not Juwan. Do you have Connor a season? And there were so many times where it's like, okay, he missed his first 2 threes. He's not on it. And I know we saw that with Casey sometimes too, but you also weren't getting Connor going backdoor on stuff the way Casey was. And it helped that he had really we also need to say this. Casey played with really good passing bigs the way this offense is designed.
And rank Mass plus Connor Essegian next year. I cannot wait to see.
So you get year 2 Connor Essegian. He's been here. They've had time. They've developed a chemistry. I know it wasn't on the floor, but there's stuff going through practice, and they'll get the offseason, and you hope that Rank's healthy. But you get masked next year with these guys. You spread that floor out with your incoming guys that can shoot threes plus Connor Essegian. I think that's where you look at this team and say that's the next step, because you have what makes this offense work really well under Fred Hoiberg. You have that piece back. You don't have Bryce. You don't have Juwan. I get that. But you have a piece that you didn't have this year, plus the shooting. And think about a year ago when with the team that made the tournament, what were you saying? Well, you were hoping whether it was J-Law or at times CJ, you were like, okay, you needed that other scorer, that other guy that was going to hit threes in the way the offense was running. I think you've got a lot of guys that can do that coming in next year with 5 still to add.
Yep. And don't forget, Bryce Sanford's freaking 6'7" shooter, man. He's you may say you know who he is, but boy, you get him in Fred's system, we'll see. We will see.
I'm excited for it.
I know Creighton got Dixon, they got Owen, but the 6'7" shooter is pretty interesting to me. With
multiple years of eligibility.
Yep.
With multiple years. I think that is a big deal. I think that is going to be the key to looking at guys as hits or misses, because it was obviously, as we talked about, like misses for this year could turn out to be hits in the long term, could turn out to be hits in their time at Nebraska, because it was half a hit type of a thing for Connor Essegian, but it was like, other than right before he got hurt, it was largely a miss for Berkay. It was a miss for Gavin Griffiths. It was it was a miss for Mia and Morgan overall for what you wanted to get out of those guys. But there were stretches where they looked good and they were definitely helpful in wins. But if you get to next year, and if Gavin Griffiths is back and he's moved into the rotation and he can score and come off the bench and score, and maybe he's figured out defense a little bit, and Connor Essegian takes stuff to another level, and Berkay does come back, that's where those can turn into definite hits compared to what they were this year.
We'll see. I also wouldn't be surprised if both those guys are gone, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, and that's where you are now. Now you're not playing. Now you see where does the roster turnover happen in a way that Nebraska did a good job of avoiding. Unlike the other 15 teams or 17 or however many were playing in Vegas, 16 teams total. So the other 15 teams, they were all missing people. Nebraska was, other than the injury to Raleigh, Nebraska wasn't missing anyone because of the portal.
Right. Let me end on this. Part of the reason tonight was so, I think, enjoyable is, and I mentioned this several times, right? There have been, usually when a season ends for 98% of teams, it's on the saddest possible note, right?
Yeah.
We saw it last night with Duke, right? You see it. It's the end of a career. It's the end of a season. It's tears flowing when that final we thought we saw it with Juwan Gary when he got subbed out. We saw it with Casey Tominaga against Texas A&M. And for whatever reason, man, I don't want to put words in any of your mouths, but despite the fact that Juwan Gary and Bryce Williams did not get Nebraska during their career to the spot, the promised land of winning an NCAA tournament game, they got to one NCAA tournament game and they lost it, even though Bryce tried his ass off at the end to bring Nebraska back. Man, there's a little bit where it's just like you celebrate small stuff because you want to appreciate those guys. And you can say what you want about what they did in their careers and whether or not they got Nebraska to that spot, but man, those are two unique, likable guys, I would say. Over the years, and Bryce is such a unique, quiet, introverted, wears freaking corded earbuds still instead of wearing like he's like, man, like there is something I would love nothing
Remember
more.
when he shaved the beard?
Yeah, shaved the beard, but came here.
Jawan Gary had a black shirt.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce came here, left at Charlotte, where his dad was a legacy, ended up coming here, and and they both stayed right after last year. Could have transferred, could have done all this stuff. I will appreciate the hell out of those guys, and like I wish Casey would have been there tonight. I hope all three of them are there. I hope they get there. I hope they have that moment, whatever it is, and I want all three of those there. Right, Derek Walker was there celebrating with Nebraska fans and my son when Nebraska beat Purdue.
Yeah,
right. I want those guys to be part of it, because even if your team does not get you the result that you ultimately want in this thing, there is still, especially with certain players, a bond that's created, man. And I'll tell you what.
Well, Jack, you saw it with the McGowan's brothers that show up and have embraced this program and coming back and being part. Like, for those guys that I know, like Trey was here for a couple of years and Bryce was only here for one, but for the guys like you just mentioned, all of those guys that you mentioned that were here multiple years, I hope, like, when this does happen, when there is the Huskers are in the NCAA tournament and they get that first win, I expect all of these guys to very much enjoy that, and I hope that they get to be a part of it and feel a part of it in a real tangible way.
Yep, I do. And Alex says Band and Bryce were at the Washington road game. I remember that. Bryce has been, I mean, for all of our complaints about Bryce McGowan's career, man, that guy's invested in this program. I think, I think Jawan, Bryce, Casey, it's a weird place to be in, to say, look, none of these teams, none of these players got you to where you wanted to be. But at the same time, man, you've got some real feelings, positive feelings for them and who they are. And I just to be able to see Bryce and Jawan, those two tonight, go out on a non-sad note, that meant a ton to me. Like that really meant a lot to me. So
before we go, just want to thank Waffles and Aries World for the super chats.
Oh, God, did we get some super chats?
One was before we even came on, and the other was super early on. But yeah, GBR from both of them. Waffles said crown them undefeated in April all time. Aries World said GBR. Thanks, guys. Extra shout out to Ryan Kronberg.
Yeah, shout out Ryan. Oh, I know Ryan. Good. Ryan's a great guy. So, all right. Hey, thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is it for After Nebrasketball. The next time we do this, I don't know. Maybe we'll do it again next year. We'll see.
Oh, we'll do it. Come on.
We thought
it's
just like us. We thought the season ended with that devastating Iowa loss, which I did not want to go on for. Tonight, I wanted to party and have some fun, and this is a great way. Once again, it's a hell of a better way to end the season than going out on a devastating loss, and that we got to do tonight. So thank you to all of you who have hung out with us during the course of the year, argued with us, talked to us, gave us comments. If you've subscribed to the YouTube channels, thank you so much. That helps us do what we are doing, whether it's the Husker Max YouTube page or IID Club. Caleb's continue to do great stuff with Husker Max, and you can check that out, huskermax.com, patreon.com/I80 Club. If you want to join us on the I80 Club, we're going to have a whole bunch of stuff this summer getting into football, so we'd love to have you there. So, Matt says, thanks so much, baby, a bigger Nebrasketball fan. Here we are.
Awesome.
After it's all over. And it was a fun night, and hopefully more fun ones to come next year. All right, we'll see y'all later. Have a great – anything else, Caleb, I need to add before we wrap it?
No, just subscribe to whatever YouTube channel you're watching on, and then from me, and I'm sure a lot of the people are going to say this too, but thank you, Jack, for this entire year. You're the #1 Nebrasketball fan. Thank you for having me as part of this throughout all of that. So this is a blast. I'm just going to say we're going to be back next year because even with the losses, it was way more fun hanging out with you and everyone who follows and is in the Nebrasketball world than hanging out on our own and being miserable by ourselves.
Hey, nothing will beat the Creighton post-game show where I came in already quite drunk. We'll always
Washington watch party.
Yeah, Washington watch suck at Rich King, you know. We love it, everybody. Thank you for supporting us. We'll be back next year. Have a great offseason.